so layered. So the Trump administration has barred Harvard from accepting um foreign students, and what it was is basically they were like, you have this I think it's what is the name of it? Oh, it's the Student and Exchange Visitor Program certification. So you have this certification where you can now have foreign students obviously come in with this visa, right? This student visa to attend Harvard, get their education. However, Harvard has not been complying. Okay. They've not been complying with administration. I don't want to say just Trump because it's really his administration. They've not been complying with Trump's administration to the point where they've lost billions in grants, they've lost millions in contracts, and now they're at a point where they've been completely barred. And they're like, look, your foreign students, they either have to transfer, leave, or they need to like basically like figure it out, right? And so it's such a terrible thing because imagine, right, if you were in your last year or your last semester and they're like, your university didn't want to comply, so you got to get the fuck up out of here. That is awful. And of course, Harvard is such a prestigious school. So to say, well, just transfer. Now, when you transfer, your degree is going to be from somewhere that's not Harvard, you know? So, yes, you can transfer, go to a school that has the certification that's going to give you this student visa for you to get your education, but it's not Harvard. And I think that's so tough because people go to a certain school for the name, for the prestige, to say, I am a Harvard graduate, I am a Harvard alum. And now, because of this political climate we're in, now they're going to have to go to I don't even want to say a second rate school. It could be a second, third, or fourth rate school. That's not Harvard. So that's so unfair. However, if I'm not mistaken, this was Homeland Security. I think her name is Christy Nome. She's basically saying, like, look, Harvard is padding their pockets with these foreign students' high tuition. And that's really why they don't want to comply because they're getting this money. And I think that argument, sure, maybe that argument, can be made. Of course, we all know there's a difference between in-state and out-of-state tuition. Maybe they are charging foreigners, more to go to the school and what have you. But I don't think it's fair to bar Harvard because they're padding their pockets. Like, come on. That is just, to me, that is such a trivial argument to make. Like, it's going to mean anything to an American student. Like, I quite literally would not care, but I would care if I spent 4 years with this person getting this degree, and now we're at the finish line, and half of my classmates can't graduate because the university didn't want to comply and the government is forcing them to do things that don't really make sense. And then the other part that the government is arguing, especially Homeland Security, is and the Department of Education really is saying, well, Harvard kind of has this this practice of like an anti-Semitic environment, right? Where they're not they're I don't want to say protecting, but they're cultivating this environment of anti-Semitism. Now, I feel like that is thrown around, or it's like a blanket statement that the Trump administration makes in order to make an institution or a person seem like a bad guy, right? Like, if you want to say this person is bad, their first line of defense is, well, they're anti-Semitic. They're anti-Semitic. So that's why they're anti-Semitic. And I mean, granted, if we this is between the Trump administration and Harvard, but also if you look at the Democrats kind of do the same thing. They just say this thing is systematic oppression, right? So the Democrats have their systematic oppression where the Republicans have their anti-Semitism. And well, I shouldn't say the Republicans. I should clearly say the Trump administration. Which, again, to the point of last episode where we talked about Trump and Bibi Netanyahu having their little tiff, it's like, but y'all are still holding true to this anti-Semitism. I just don't really believe that Harvard would have this anti-Semitic environment. I just think it's something to say. Yes, you may have, and gosh, the reason why they'll say it's an anti-Semitic environment is because you may have a group of students who are pro-Palestine, right? And it only may be max, let's say 35 students out of the whole campus is 35 students. And they'll say, well, that's an anti-Semitic environment because you have that pro-Palestine group. And then you have, of that 35, let's say 12 are foreign students who are under the student exchange visitor program. So now, in Trump administration's mind, it's like it's an anti-Semitic environment. They have this pro-Palestine group. It's against, what we want America to be. So you need to comply with these demands. I think it's so unfair. I think it's very disgusting. I don't believe that that is an area that needs to be focused on unless, like, in the article I read, it said that Harvard didn't comply with basically handing over a list of like their problem child of foreign students, right? So it's like if your campus knows that this person may display some questionable behavior, Trump's administration is like, give us all those students' names so basically we can look into them. Like, I get it because, again, you don't want to have foreign students coming in and, it can be a terroristic type of thing, but also having an opinion and being pro-Palestine does not then make you anti-Semitic. So I think that's the battle that's happening, and it's just unfair to the students who are just simply here to get an education. Like, they could, I don't want to say care less, but they could essentially care less about whether, you're pro-Palestine or anti-Semitic. They could care less. They're like, look, I just want to get this degree. Like, that is it. That is all. My education costs way too much. I just want to come here, get my degree, and move the fuck on.